beautiful beings of light. Welcome to the Crone Zone. My name's Priscilla. This is my friend Heather, and today we have the lovely Andra with us.
Yay.
Good afternoon, Andra. Thank you for joining us. Or Andra. You pronounce it Andra, right?
Andra. Yeah.
Because it's
you guys.
A-N-D, not A-U-N-D like I want to say it.
And I just drew a card for the show, which is
perfect.
appropriate. It's the Chariot. It's from the Fairy Tarot deck. And it says, success that comes from dedication and self-discipline, celebrating your accomplishments. You made it to Colorado. And being in the spotlight.
All right. Well, we're all in the spotlight today. Yes, I made it safe and sound to Colorado.
Yes.
Hey, everybody. Hi, Carolina, Teresa. How are you? Miss Jenny. And I believe there was Miss Amanda here early. So how is everybody? We're going to talk about the eclipse that Andra and I experienced, but I know some of you would like to hear about my travels. And it was basically pretty boring, pretty uneventful until I got to Russellville and met up with Andra. She met me the first day I got there, and I spent 2 nights there. And we went out on Mount Nebo. She took me up a mountain, which was so much fun. We had plans to go out to dinner, and we decided the town was so full and the restaurant was so full that we would grab our dinner. And she had this delightful little mountain that we went up to, and it wasn't very far from where my hotel was. And it was a B&B. And up the mountain we went, and we took Sassy and our dinner, and we had a great time up there. And then we parted ways to the next day, and then she went up. And Andra, I want you to tell me your story, because I'm fascinated by where you were on your mountain that day. Your experience at the P. Allen Smith garden.
You may be familiar with P. Allen Smith. He's a really well-known horticulturist, and his home and his business is a little town that's right outside of Little Rock, called Roland. And it's not really a mountain. Honestly, I think it's about as high as we were up on Mount Nebo, actually. Although it doesn't have a name per se, because it's just the way the road goes. It's not a separate elevated thing. So he has a beautiful home, and he has wonderful gardens because he's a horticulturist. And it was about 300 people that were there for a tour and a buffet lunch and all that. And I was with 2 friends, and we broke off from the rest of the people and found our own place that was away and shady. And they're both on a spiritual track, and we spoke about a lot of things that the eclipse, the lunar eclipse and the solar eclipse were bringing, and it was lovely.
Sounds fantastic.
It was a spectacular event, and when in totality, because I was up, I could look around, and it was sunset 360 degrees.
That's amazing.
It got real dark and cool, and then I'd never seen it be sunset everywhere.
No, I've never seen that. Did you get any pictures of that by any chance?
No.
Well, it was hard to get pictures that day. There's no doubt about it. I did take a couple, and I actually brought them if you guys want to see them. I actually, just 3. Let me see.
They were cool.
So that was one when it first started. I couldn't believe
wonderful.
it. I just took these with my iPhone and a little filter that they sent me with my Eclipse glasses. And it was just the same material that your Eclipse glasses were. And you just put it over your lens, and that's what it took. And then, let's see. That was close to totality. And I really couldn't get totality with the darkness, but this is the one that I got when I ripped it off the phone and just grabbed a shot. So you can really see the light around it was incredible.
Yeah,
Yes.
you are.
And I had a little bit of cloud cover, so I didn't get it totally clear, but it was still pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah.
must say, I was going to ask you how you all felt about it, because Heather, I know you had an experience, even though you couldn't see it, you weren't around it. You had an experience during the
Yeah,
eclipse.
I can't say I wasn't there because I wasn't here. I don't know where I was, but I was gone for 2 hours.
And where were you? Just sitting in your chair? What were you up
Sitting in
to?
my chair, and I was reading, and all of a sudden I was gone. And the dog never moved, as far as I could tell. But when I'd seen a notice from BBC saying it was about to start, and then all of a sudden I wasn't there. And then when I came back, I happened to check my phone. It says it's just about over. I'm going, huh? And looked at the time. I just wasn't here. I don't know where.
Did you have any feelings when you came back? Did you have any feelings about anything?
I did feel like it wasn't that I went to sleep. I was gone. So, and that was different. And I knew I went somewhere, but I don't know where I went.
Right. What about you, Andra? What did you feel in the moment, if you can describe that?
It was like a powerful surge,
Mm-hmm.
and sort of a drawn out surge, I would say.
Yeah, I kind of equated it to like a wave.
Yes,
a wave of
yes.
energy.
It was pretty steady, but and it was sort of indescribable, because when you're looking at something like that, of course, there's an elevation of mood. My mood was elevated too, but I really, and also I was creating my own uplifting circumstance because of my expectation of what the eclipse was about,
Right.
and what we all understand those energies to be. And
Right.
it was sort of an expectation / fulfillment of those things in my own head. It was great.
I say I felt in awe. I had never seen a full eclipse like that. And I just kept getting chills throughout the whole phenomenon. And I just felt so happy to be alive during this upgrade of humanity, because I really felt like those were the energies coming in. I'm getting chills now. Those were the energies that were coming in, was more enlightenment and more upgrades for humanity. And like I said, I was just in awe.
And I didn't see this one, but when I was a kid, we had all gone up to the attic because there were some windows there, and it was the tallest building because we were on top of a hill. And there was an eclipse then, and you had to have the pinholes and everything, and it told you how to look at it. And I remember my brothers and I and my mom up there watching it.
That's cool. I remember doing that as a kid in school.
Yeah.
With a piece of paper and a pinhole.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, we did it at home because that's where it was, and it did turn dark. It was a total eclipse. It was cool. So I can understand.
Well, I'm going to highlight some of the comments from people. So chat, we would love to know what your experience was of the eclipse. If you felt anything or got to see it yourselves, we'd love to hear about that from you. So please let me know. Hypnicity says she felt the temperature drop. High Vibin says, I felt a wave or surge, made me feel dizzy and nauseous for a good 20 minutes. That's, I guess that's quite possible to feel the nausea from that.
And I got to tell you, as we're talking about it, I am hot.
Are you?
Very, very hot.
Right. So we've been thinking about the downloads and the information that came through with the lunar eclipse a couple of weeks ago, then the solar eclipse. And then we've got this conjunction coming up with Jupiter and Uranus on the 20th. So we've been kind of talking about what all this means for humanity. What is this all about? And Andra, I'm going to turn it over to you a little bit because you've been taking great notes on
Researching.
what you've researched and the downloads that you are getting, and they really are pretty much the same as what we've been getting.
Well, to start with, when I read the community post that Valerie of Illumination Portal did about the eclipse, she had some like, take action toward your highest alignment and know what to say no to. There's 7 or 8 sentences that she put in there, and I wrote them all down separately, and I sort of compared them to what the notes that I have taken on the lunar eclipse. I didn't take any notes on the solar eclipse, but on the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction that is coming up. That I don't know anything about astrology. I know nothing. I'm taking notes. That's what I'm doing, and I'm interested. And degrees of this and degrees of that. It means nothing to me. Yeah. But what I was interested in was how these bullet points that she had, which I think are quite inspired, relate to what will be happening. What will be happening because of these energies. And the lunar eclipse, just the down and dirty on that, is that it was about awareness, like the V8 moment. I could have been doing this instead of that. This person stresses me out. I won't be talking to them again. I hate my job. I need to get a different job. It's like the moment of realizations, and the lunar eclipse was about an emotional reaction to what's not working, like draw the line under something and say, maybe I don't know how this is going to look in terms of change, but priorities changing, friendships, all relationships are under re-examination. Friends, husbands, jobs, every relationship. That would be the lunar. And then pardon me?
I was going to say, you said something in there about an aha moment. And it's so funny because I was walking the dog and about the time of the eclipse. It wasn't during the eclipse, but it was close to it. All of a sudden, I'm walking the dog, and for no reason at all, I said, I don't like the city.
You don't like what?
The city.
Oh. Yeah. I thought that too, so I got out of it.
And I'm going to get out of it.
Yeah,
eventually.
But I agree that it was that lunar eclipse seemed to be more about releasing things that no longer served you.
Right.
Particularly relationships, but relationships aren't just with people; it's with cities, ourselves.
Yeah. And now the notes that I took on the Jupiter Uranus is that they meet up every 14 years. Both of them are very slow moving planets, so their effect, both individually and together, is quite extended.
Yeah.
So, and every 14 years they're in a different sign, and the Jupiter is expansive. And I'm just going to read what I wrote: lively, electric, fast-paced growth, invention and innovation, collective and personal acceleration in some of the areas, and specifically are tech, resources, environment, food, culture, and things that are tangible and personal. It can be chaotic and unpredictable. Rebelliousness, amplifying the need for innovation, trying something new. Be open to the unusual, valuing freedom and more flexibility. And it's a moving forward energy and thoughtful intention and inspired action. So as I was saying before the show, I think that this long energy of the Jupiter Uranus is a kick up the backside. And it may be the thing that accelerates changes in government, changes in corporate, changes in, let's say, Medicaid, Medicare, things that affect people who aren't being well served in our society. You know, it's a more rapid change of those things that need to change. That's the way. I mean, Valerie can talk about this until the cows come home with much more insight and all that. I mean,
well, that's the astrological aspect of it, but it's also when you're talking, what you just said reminds me of the fact that we're moving into the age of Aquarius, and those are all Aquarian attributes: the tech, the people instead of corporations. All of those things that you mentioned are really aspects of this new 26,000 year cycle that or 2,600 year cycle that we're going through with the age of Aquarius.
And we're talking about astrology, but there was somebody, I can't remember who, was talking. I saw the same thing about that Cash Peters did.
Me too.
And he comes from a different angle. He's not coming from astrological. He's saying those planets are close to each other. It's what he sees.
Yeah.
You know? So it's a whole different aspect of a different perspective. And yet he came up with many of the same things.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, I was really amazed when I watched him, and he was saying the same things that I experienced.
Yeah, their energies are the same, whether it was from an astrological background or just from somebody else like him.
Yes.
So I think it's an upgrade for humanity. Like you said, it's just another kick in the butt. And I don't know. I think I've been listening to that kick in the butt because I sure got my butt kicked to get out of Key West. And I've done it. I'm here in Colorado now, in a different city from Heather, but we're awfully close.
And today is a beautiful day. It's you don't even need a jacket outside. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, it is gorgeous here. The energy feels lighter to me here. I also feel like it is the move to the west was intentional from source, spirit.
Yeah, I think it was too.
I think there's something about the Southwest that's important right now.
If they'd wanted either one of us to stay, first I would have found someplace there.
Yep.
And I knew, deep down, I knew I was going to be out in Denver.
Yeah. Well, I'm in Fort Collins, which is only an hour and a half north of Denver.
Yeah. Just rent a car and I can drive out to you.
Yeah. So let's see what some other people experienced. Amanda Carroll says, I experienced a little nausea too, followed by a headache, compelled to move really slowly that day, except for the dog walk, moving at dog speed. Sometimes my dog is slower than I am, and sometimes she's a lot faster. Walked by the water, cleared my headache. She said it felt like kind of heavy energy. And I wanted to show this just because G. Covington said, thank you. I got the job I asked about. Your pendulum and guides were correct. Goodbye, toxic work environment. Yay. Congratulations, G. Covington. And thank you for the validation. I really appreciate it.
Glad to hear it.
And then Jenny says, Cash Peters did pictures for the eclipse and pretty much got what the astrologers have been saying. And then, of course, White Dragon says, I felt nothing.
Well, he was out in space.
And Spirit Detective said, uplifting of energy. And although Hypnicity said she felt the temperature drop, we didn't see much of it. It was a feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, when I was thinking, I did feel better when I got back.
I'm sorry, what?
My mood was uplifted a little bit when I got back from wherever I was.
I'd have to say that too. So,
Mhm.
does anybody in the chat have any questions? Because we'll be glad to answer any questions you have. Although, like you said, none of us are astrologers by any stretch of the imagination. I'm really interested. What did Dolores Cannon? That wasn't about the solar eclipse. That was about the M, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so
Yeah.
there were several astrologers, new astrologers that I started watching. One of them, two men. I think one of them, something Todd in England. Did you, Andra? Who do you watch?
Was it Levine and Judd?
Yes, Levine and Judd. I watched both of those, and that's exactly who it was.
Okay.
The person that I watched to get the information about the Jupiter Uranus was Kelly's astrology.com. Kelly's astrology. And I thought she was very good. I just ran onto her accidentally. She just came up on my
Right.
feed. And I'm trying to remember, there's a astrologer that is not on YouTube. If you're familiar with Ellie from Ellie Dreams Down Under in
Yes.
Australia, sometime back she interviewed an astrologer from New York who has been following her, and I can't remember his name, and I looked him up, but he doesn't have a channel, but he's quite good. I'm trying to figure out how to get some more. Maybe he'll be on some more, but anyway, I just randomly listen to different ones. I don't have any
me too.
Stick with.
Yeah.
Jenny, I think it must have been you that were telling me about these two Levine, Judd and Levine. They were very interesting. And Ruby Red Slippers, I know you had kind of a fun experience with your husband that you said you watched from your back porch with your husband, and I can't remember what all you said now. I just went blank. So maybe you should type it in the chat, since I totally forgot what you were saying. But I love that you got to watch it with your husband on the back porch. I think that was really good. I had to drive several hundred miles to see it.
I was
But it
going to
was
ask
worth
you,
it.
how long did Florida take you to get out of?
2 days. Well, 1.5.
Forever. You thought you were never going to leave, right?
The first day was 9 hours. It was horrible.
I know.
Bumper to bumper traffic. And
Wanting to get out of the state, and it takes forever.
but once you're out, you're out. I mean,
That's true.
I really didn't realize how beautiful northern Florida was.
Yeah, northern Florida, but middle Florida.
It was hilly and lots of green trees and stuff, and it was that way all the way across to Colorado. Well, till I got to Kansas.
Yeah, then you're flat.
Not so much.
Not so much.
Yes, Flower Beauty, the questions are open. Absolutely.
You can read a
questions you want to ask. Amanda Carroll says Colleen the Cool Crone had some good info too. Well, that's always good to know. Ruby Red Sipper says that's it. Keep an open mind. I think we're all going to have to keep an open mind, because I have no clue what's going to happen, but it just seems like it just feels good. Whatever's going on, it just feels good.
And I also got, don't forget to surf, because there will be some lows, but surf over those.
Yeah, if we surf the crest, we're good.
Mm-hmm.
White Dragon has... Flower Beauty, we're not doing Akashic readings today. I'm sorry, sweetheart. Maybe next time. White Dragon says, however, I felt that eclipse was like a huge broom sweeping crap out of those states away, and then this year is going to be rough. What do you all say? I don't know.
They said it's going to be up and down. That's why I said surf. Right now,
Yeah,
we feel really
circle
good because
crests.
we just had it. You know,
I actually feel better, lighter. I do feel like that energy was that surge was kind of a broom sweeping away the lower energies.
it did lighten everything. I noticed that even in the apartment, when I get up in the morning, it's a lot easier just to go ahead and do everything that needs to be done instead of it being a weight.
Yeah.
Yeah, as in WEIGHT.
I don't know.
So it's just making it easier to do what needs to be done. So,
I
yeah,
seem to have quite a bit of energy. Has your energy level changed at all, Andra?
mine has.
Yes, it has. Before the eclipse, I needed to take some naps. Um, I'd be um, inexplicably tired
Mm-hmm.
certain days or certain times of the day, and I would just take a nap, which is not my normal thing.
Oh, really?
And
Yeah.
so I'm not doing that now. And I am reminded I didn't have a big chat with Wisdom Seeker Joan about this, but we both watch Ann Tucker,
Mm-hmm.
who channels the angelic realm. And every week she has a new channeling. And one of the things she mentioned just this week was that along with the upgrades that our sixth sense, everybody's sixth sense will be accelerating so that it will be stronger than our human senses. I
Wow.
don't know how long or under what circumstances it would take for for the for the sixth sense to be stronger than the senses that we were born with and have used all of our human lives.
Seems like that would take quite a while since we're so used to using our five senses.
There, but it's the it was said that it would cause us to not be worried about earth changes. That because the sixth sense, your intuition, just you have a different knowing,
Mm-hmm.
and if sixth sense is stronger than the brain, than the fears the brain wants to generate, then you say, "Oh, this is happening. Oh, that's happening." Well, and you
That's
know,
interesting.
it
So,
takes the angst away from what's going to be happening anyway.
for those people that are not awakened yet, it sounds like it would lead them into a lead them into a gentle awakening as their intuition opened up.
Um,
Wow.
so Anne says in her channeling that there will be something around a light event that will be in, and I don't have any other information about that. She doesn't either.
So, did this have anything to do? I missed the very first of it. Does this have something to do with the conjunction or just what she saw coming up in the future?
But she saw coming up in the future.
And there's a light event.
Yes, a
Interesting.
light event.
I wonder what that means. A
No,
light event.
I
Because,
don't know.
that could be an super X-class solar flare.
Could be.
It could be,
Could be.
wow. Yeah, I don't know. Here's a great question. How do you think Gaia feels?
I'm not sure, but I do know that when I was working on her, I used to go from the center and gradually work my way out.
Mhm.
Only this time I was told just work the center and then go straight to the surface. I didn't need to worry about inside anymore.
Huh.
So I don't know, but it was something different.
I think she's, continuing her upgrade,
I
and
think so too.
I think she is happy with the, acceleration of ascension of humanity.
Mhm.
I think she's happy with the growth of the collective consciousness is what I'm getting.
And I
Is
get the impression she's healthier,
mhm.
even though the surface isn't inside. She's healthier.
Interesting. Yeah. Anything from you, Andrew, on that?
Um, my I tune into Gaia every day on my walks, and Gaia is a lot like the weather is a bad example,
Yeah.
but the weather is not personal. The weather is the weather.
Just is.
It's nature is nature. It's not personal. Rains on everybody that's where it's raining. There are some things that she needs to accomplish that are going to be earth changes that we already see. Volcanoes and things like that are just part of what's happening in terms of what's been happening.
Mhm.
The forces that are within Gaia, and just like the seasons and how Gaia needs to regulate is just what it is. It's not personal, but it is helpful. I know that it is helpful to speak with Gaia and to give gratitude and to take a moment to feel the pressure, the upward pressure of growth that's happening, to just sort of tune in. Hugging a tree is the way that I get it sometimes, feeling the that vibration, the communication, very strong communication.
Mhm.
With it comes just getting, but there will be some changes, some earth changes, but it isn't personal, and it's just what she needs to do. And it's how the earth has evolved so far. Changes in the
Exactly.
earth's crust, um, you know, different forces. It's just the way her lifespan is going. Just like our sun has a lifespan, she has a lifespan, and that's I just feel like respecting her and appreciating her regardless of what happens.
Yeah, I get the feeling that she's growing and she's trying her wings, seeing what happens when she does something or what else happens when something else is. So she's learning.
She's been learning for a long time.
Yeah, but she's really learning on the weather stuff now.
Well, I think she definitely appreciates it when we show gratitude, and I try to show her gratitude every single day, whether when I'm out walking or just how I don't use harmful products,
Right.
those kinds of things. Every little change we make to help the environment, she appreciates. Whether we recycle, whether you call it recycling, anything that you can do that is in that vein is she appreciates and knows that you're showing your gratitude in doing those things. Um, I think that's important to show her how we feel. We're a part of her. We're not separate from her. Just like we're one with each other. We're also one with our own planet, and we need to take care of her. We need to respect her and show her the love that she shows us by creating a space for us to live.
Mhm.
So I don't know. That's sorry, that's my little soapbox. But I'm trying to become more and more ecologically aware of how I live my life and making sure that it's more
Green.
green. I mean, I think I have the authenticity down pretty well, but I need to work on the green. For sure.
it gets me because even when we were in Key West, and now that I'm in this apartment, it's so true that I have at least twice as much recycling as I do garbage.
Well, that's nice.
Maybe 3 times,
Right.
So I'm going, whoa.
Well, I'm hoping to go up in the mountains later today and hug a tree because you know what? Palm trees are just not the same as a pine tree or an oak tree or any other tree.
Oak trees,
Hugging a palm tree was just really didn't do it for me. Although the
that big
gumbo
around.
limbo helped.
Maybe this big around.
Yeah. What about you, Andra? Any more thoughts on Mother Earth and how we can take care of her better?
I think part of our evolution, spiritual evolution, is showing up already in the rhetoric of Gaia being represented as a being, knowing that Gaia is a being and Sun is a being. So when did that vocabulary ever be a part of light worker? We were talking about this, it might have been this idea of connection and the beingness of things that just considered to be objects, there's someone in our community who talks to stones and crystals. And the beings, those are beings. So
I have a crystal that is beings. Yeah. Actually, I think I lost it. It sold with my house stuff, my estate sale. I forgot about that. But I had a golden pyramid that had 2 beings in it. I guess they went with the plant. They were in a fiddle leaf fig. But yeah. Who knew crystals had spirit? Who knew?
So this is not odd stuff anymore. This is like part of what we understand now as light workers. So that shows already that there's a wider dissemination of the kinds of things that we can talk about and share about our connection and the beingness of
Can you imagine talking about Mother Earth as being a sentient being 20 years ago? People would have looked at you like you were mad. You'd lost your mind.
Put you away.
Yeah. Or put you away.
The other day I was walking the dog and this stone shouted at me. I looked at it, that's a pretty stone. I was going to pick it up on the way back, but I walked past it and got yelled at. Just automatically turned around and picked it up.
Who
knew we would be talking to rocks?
Yeah, and that we would hear them,
And they'd be talking back.
Hey, I'm coming,
I think it's fascinating.
It is.
So White Dragon says, I'm sorry, it wasn't White Dragon. Something that he said before. Laurie Huntsinger says, White Dragon, a young starseed in England, had a message from the Arcturians about the eclipse. They were going to be sweeping away dark energies. His message did say they used a broom to sweep.
There you go.
I kind of see that.
That's cool.
And then Bora Bora, hi Bora Bora. She says, I agree with what Amanda said about the eclipse, energy being brighter and lighter.
Yeah,
absolutely. I guess we won't see another eclipse in our lifetime.
But I think it has stayed lighter.
It does seem to have stayed lighter.
Yeah. I mean, they broomed it and they used the broom to clean it out. They did a good job.
Who knew? A spiritual broom.
Yeah.
That's great. And Spirit Detective says, makes sense to me about sweeping away of negative energies.
Yes.
Well, I've always been sensitive to negative energies. I don't like being around people that have negative energies. And it seems like my world has gotten smaller and smaller as far as my circle of people because of that.
Yeah.
And I really look forward to the friends I have on YouTube and our practice groups because it feels like, well, like meeting Andra, it felt like I'd known her my entire lifetime. It just felt like we were sisters, friends, been around each other. It was just so easy and so friendly and loving.
And nice to see you again.
Yeah, yeah.
It was very weird feeling to me to feel like this was the first time that Priscilla and I had ever met in person. It just didn't feel like it was the first time that we'd met in person. It seriously felt like we'd been meeting in person, and that the fact that we just
It was just a continuous thing.
Yeah, you picked up and kept going.
And that's really I think wonderful function of the electronic connection that we have.
Mhm.
There is really not any difference in energy. I mean, because I would have felt like, oh well, Priscilla and I are finally meeting. Well, no, this is like
I didn't have that feeling at all.
Mhm.
Now, Andra and I know each other from psychic practice groups and this YouTube channel. Basically, that's it.
Right.
So we met in person, and then, like she says, it was like, "Oh, hi, how you doing?" It's, I saw you last week. That's how it felt.
And it was so incredibly easy. And the feeling was like a sisterhood that had been going on for a lot longer. Well, I've only been studying mediumship for 3 years.
Me too.
So, and I think that that's really, it doesn't take very long, apparently, coming together on Zoom and whatnot to have a strong energetic connection. The energy is definitely the key.
The key.
Mhm.
It all has to do with frequency.
Right.
The frequency of our vibration. That's what it's all about. And, any of those women that we work with and practice with, I feel like I would have had the same reaction
Oh yeah.
because it is definitely a sisterhood.
Yeah.
And you out there in the chat world, you know who we're talking about, and we appreciate and love each and every one of you.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's like coming home every time we go on.
it is. It
Mhm.
is. I never thought I would be comfortable doing something like this live with people I don't know. Haha. Because we all
You know 'em.
because we've been together many years, either here or somewhere else, obviously. But
Mhm.
it really feels like home, these people in our YouTube land. No fun boy, no readings today. So sorry about that. We're talking about energy and the eclipse and the conjunction coming up. And if you all have any questions about that, we'd be happy to talk about it with you. And Jenny, I wanted to show something that Jenny put up there. I have such a runny nose since I hit Colorado. Indigenous have always had the living spirit of all things. Boy, do we need to learn from the indigenous.
Mhm.
It's amazing to me how connected to the land they were and how Westerners poo-pooed all of that. And yet here we are coming full circle back to it. It's pretty amazing. Okay. What else, ladies?
The one of the upgrades, I think, of the intuition, the sixth sense becoming more prominent than the 5 human senses, is anything that has to do with duality. For instance, one duality is people I know versus people I don't know.
Yeah.
People I've met versus people I haven't met. The brain wants to sort things out and wants to create just for the purposes of organization. It
Mhm.
doesn't really have to mean anything, but I can see that with the upgrades that we'll be getting, there will be more compassion and definitely more action, bringing an impulse to help people who are struggling and a feeling of kinship with the people who are struggling. More help, more resources moving to areas that are underserved. I think that that's going to be a big part of the upgrade. I think
I
that's
do
what
too.
it said with this Jupiter Uranus
Yes,
upgrade that we'll be getting on the 20th.
I think you're right.
And it's slow moving, so it will be happening over, I don't know how much time.
Many,
But that's
many
a good thing
years. I don't
because
know
it's
how.
going to take us a while to get used to. So it's good that it's moving slowly.
Well, yes, because those that aren't awakened yet, it's going to take time for them to get to a level of understanding.
Yeah.
And it needs to be baby steps because look how long it took us.
Yeah.
We did it in baby steps.
Big
I
baby
believe,
steps because we were stuck, but
well, we were stuck because we were born in the 50s. I mean, let's face it, we were born in the 50s and things were completely different there. And I really believe that the late 40s and the early 50s is when the light workers started hitting the planet. That it became imperative after World War II that starseeds hit the planet to raise the vibration.
yeah, to help.
Yeah,
Definitely to help.
yeah. And at least that's what I'm being told. And those of us that are star seeds that have that type of energy that we were born with, still we're stuck until our 50s, 60s, even 70s
Mhm.
before we woke up, started, or maybe even started waking up. I think I started really waking up around 2008 or 9. It's not like I had not had some intuition, but I didn't pay any attention to it.
Yeah, that's like
And I
a
really didn't start understanding any of it until I met my husband in 2000 1997. And when we moved to the States in 2003, his mediumship skills just blew open. And I was married to a psychic, and I didn't know anything about. I mean, John Edwards was the only psychic I'd ever paid any attention to that I knew, really, of. And when David started his psychic, when he started opening up, I actually contacted John Edwards to help him. But I didn't get a reply back or anything, but because he
yeah,
didn't understand what was going on with himself being an engineer, an astrophysicist, it was totally who didn't even believe in an afterlife. He just thought when you were dead, you were dead. And then all of a sudden this information started coming through. Well, I was curious. I wanted to know everything he could find out,
yeah. And
and
I
it
remember seeing Sylvia Brown, and it was interesting.
yeah, I read all of those. Did you read those books when you were a kid, Andra? Like things like Sylvie Brown and
Oh, I was older when she wrote those.
Nostradamus and all those. What was his name? Casey.
Oh, Casey, yeah.
All those things fascinated me. My dad would read books like well, my parents were Rosicrucians, and so they had a bit of knowledge that I was unaware of. But I used to read all his books about the Chariots of the Gods. Do you remember that one? Daniken? And
I
these were
never
back.
read anything because it was like taboo in my house.
My parents were fairly open-minded, even though we were Episcopalians. We were never told, "Yuck, that's
My mom
evil,"
was
or what of
more
that.
more open than my dad.
Right? Thank you, Edgar Casey, Lori. But
Yes.
I was reading all that stuff, and I was into astrology. The typical astrology stuff, the little books back then. But I never really until 2009 when I read Eric Pearl's The Reconnection.
Mm-hmm.
And my sister and I started doing the energy practice that was in the back of the book. Did I realize,
It
wow,
works.
what is this? I want to know more. And then I went and took the class and took the course so that I could do that.
Yeah,
So I would
everything I
say,
tried worked for me.
I'm sorry, what?
Everything I tried worked for me. I was going to classes. And
When did you
When did-
start your path, Andra?
yeah, when did you start?
Well, when I was a pretty small kid, I used to see spirit people.
Oh,
Yeah,
Me too.
I did, and of course that was very well accepted in my home, because my home was a metaphysical home, and we had my parents had Search for God, Edgar Casey study groups once a week.
cool.
Cool.
And of course part of that is the healing circle and all of that. And when I guess I read the autobiography of Paramahansa Yogananda. I was about 11, I guess.
Wow.
And a biography of Helen Keller. And then it wasn't till I was older that I read a lot of Wayne Dyer and Deepak Chopra and then about more than 25 years ago, I met my mastermind partner. Her name is Paula. She lives in Dallas. And at that time, she lived here in Little Rock. And we were going to the Unity Church, and there was a class on mastermind, how to mastermind. So the idea is that you get together once a week or once every X time with the group that you choose to mastermind, and you share your goals. Well, Paula and I decided that we were going to make our own group up. So every year since that time, we have written our goals for the year down and shared them with each other. And at the beginning of the year, roughly at the beginning of the year, and 100% of this, and what we do is we hold those in mind for each other, and 100% of the time, it's all been aced every year.
Great.
There was even a time when I was opening this book. She had cut out a picture of where she wanted to live, and I was in her apartment at that time, and I looked out the window, and it was just exactly like the picture that she had cut out, like, I don't know, several years ago or 5 years ago or something. So the thing about masterminding and manifestation, I've been working on with that a long time. And, and then when I retired, I decided that I was going to work on mediumship.
Mediumship is my least accomplishment. I really don't get much information from dead people. My information comes from somewhere else, and it's just like a knowing. There are a few occasions when a friend of mine's daughter died, and she came to me unexpectedly. I didn't know the daughter, barely knew the mother, and she came to me unexpectedly. So I have things like that. And of course, my husband, who passed in 2015, he's the one that started me with my mediumship. He started talking to me in 2016 after he had passed. And it was a little crazy because it was like he had a hard time getting hold of me and I had a hard time reaching him. It was like we had to each learn how to do this thing. And then from there on, I actually started channeling. It was not mediumship. It was channeling extraterrestrials, extra dimensionals,
And some historic.
some historic entities that had been passed for several hundred to thousands of years. So the mediumship I find very difficult to connect with the other side. And this game that we're playing, Dead or Alive, is really helpful for me because it's helping me create that connection with the other side.
Yeah.
The mediumship connection, which I think is pretty amazing. Those of you that have no trouble with that fascinate me because
It's so helpful because one learns that one doesn't carry grudges.
yes,
One
there's no
does not.
judgment on the other side.
And if you're feeling terrible because you weren't with a loved one when they passed, you can just forget about feeling bad about that because they do not feel bad about that at all. And they want us to just not suffer on their account.
Absolutely. That was the main thing that I got from it. Number one, if you have any issues with anybody that has passed, more than likely they're contracts, soul contracts. These are things that you agreed to, like issues with parents, which I had an issue with my mom. But after she died, I didn't really want to speak to her once I started communicating. I was just fed up, didn't want anything to do with her. But the more I learned about soul contracts and our place in this world, I finally let her in and resolved all those issues because I understood, and the unconditional love and lack of judgment on that other from her on the other side just changed everything. It just threw out all those years of misery.
Yeah, I was going to say I didn't get along with my dad. Didn't like him at all. But after I understood more about the contracts, all I can say is he did a really good job doing what he was supposed to do.
Exactly.
A really good, conscientious job.
But I love the fact that forgiveness, it makes forgiveness so much easier.
Oh, yeah.
I have found that mediumship helped me forgive. Yeah, I would say that was the big one for me. That was, I think, one of my big lessons here was learning forgiveness. And you're basically forgiving yourself, not them, because it's your reaction to what the other person has done that has created the misery within your life, or the pain or the heartache or whatever what that is, Once you let that go, it so lifts that weight off your back. It makes life a whole lot easier. Because you have to remember, this is just a game we're all playing. This is just a movie. We're in here for the experience, whether it's that duality, good and bad. Like you said, if you don't know what you don't want, you don't know what you do want.
It's a learning experience. And sometimes learning is not fun.
Exactly. So I don't know. That's how I feel about mediumship. And I'm really happy to be learning it these days.
Yeah, when people, if people want you to be aware of them, you will be aware of them. I mean, I've seen people right behind other people. They had a message for that person. You're aware of when David says something to you. I know we may be in the room, but I don't know anything about anything he said. At least, you hear.
Yeah, I tend to hear everything through telepathy.
Yeah.
Or a knowing.
Yeah, and with me, it was melodies. I would know somebody was here by the song going through my head.
I think that's cool. Having a song for each entity, I think, is pretty.
Yeah, but trying to remember them all.
So, Andra, do you channel as well? Do you? I mean, I think that mediumship is channeling information. It's a type of channeling to me. But through your knowing.
When I do mediumship, normally I will see a movie in my head, and the person will show me what they look like, their shoes, how their hair is parted, what they look like. And they have different clues or different, and for instance, if I see animals, when animals go from my right to my left, it's an animal that's in spirit. And I can see the animal. If they go the other way, it's an animal that is still on earth. And so one develops certain clues. If I see like a conductor, if I see an image of somebody conducting, I know that the person liked classical music.
Right.
The more, and practice is really an important thing, because you get these little clues. And after a while, if you ask for whether you ask for it or not, I guess you have it, but you have a guide that is your mediumship guide that helps to organize things in spirit, so that you get clues. I like the fact, I like mediumship because healing, there's always healing.
Always,
for instance, someone will come forward, a spirit person and they'll start talking about how they were in life, and their shortcomings, and they don't talk about it with a sense of, I was such a bad person and mea culpa, and I'm so sorry and please forgive me. They'll talk in very, there's no judgment.
Yeah.
It's just like not at all what we experience here in terms of the feeling of blame. They can speak very clearly about how they didn't know this. They didn't know how to say I love you. They didn't know how to.
Very matter of fact.
And I've seen a lot of healing take place. So that's the value that I see it. And light workers just have to, that's the wonderful thing about light work. One just finds where one wants to be in the light work spectrum.
I have to say that mediumship for me created a great deal of healing for me, just myself, regardless. And I've seen it do healing for other people, but I know for me, the healing was tremendous with my husband as well as my mom. And those were really the only two that I had any issues with at all. And my dad's been around since he died, because my husband always felt my dad. And he healed quite a bit when he started, my husband started channeling him. He's channeled him. And that was a big healing. And that was many, many years ago. I agree. Mediumship heals people. And that's the beauty, a big beauty of it.
There's a thing that's called Very Soul, and it has started a few years ago. And Suzanne Giesman, who's one of my mediumship teachers, is on the board of that. And if one wants to practice, if one is a medium and wants to practice mediumship, one can practice anytime. And if one needs a mediumship, wants to visit with a medium, you can go on Very Soul. I don't know.
How do you spell that? What is it?
VERYSOUL.
Oh, okay.
Very Soul.
Suzanne Giesman.
Well, yeah, she's on the board. But what happens is that, for instance, any medium can go and they can pair up together and get their own development circle together with another medium and practice with each other. Or if you want to speak with a medium and connect with a loved one, then you can go in. And I don't know whether there's a cost or not, but that would be, if a person didn't know a medium to go to, there would be one available there. The idea behind Very Soul is to make it accessible internationally to a whole bunch, so that these connections can be made.
So is it verysoul.com? Is that how you? Okay. That's
Yes.
wonderful. That sounds fascinating. Hey, hi, Valerie. Welcome. We're just getting ready to sign off.
And actually, I was going to say, because when you guys were talking about how mediumship is healing,
Yes.
when you think about it, everything that we do is healing.
Yes.
If we're doing Akashic records, it's healing. If we're doing astrology, it's healing because it explains things to us. If we're
Yes.
doing psychic work, it's usually healing because it helps set the tone and makes it easier for us. So to me, anything that the light worker is doing is healing.
I think you're right. I also think that light workers in themselves, being here on the planet, is healing for humanity as well as helping Mother Gaia
Just
heal.
being there.
Just us being alive. Did you see
What
that,
is-
Andra? Oh my God, Andra, this is the first time I've heard someone mention seeing things in different directions. It makes me so happy to hear it. I've been calling it seeing things dyslexically. Really, I know many, many people that see that going to the left is the past or going to the right is the future or now. That's not unusual. So don't feel alone.
Yeah.
Anyway, any last words, Miss Andra?
I just want to thank Valerie for her communication that she wrote in her community thing, because I wrote things down and I have been comparing it to what the eclipse and the conjunction is saying. So thank you.
Thank you, Miss Valerie.
Thank
You
you.
missed us talking about you earlier.
We talked a lot about you.
Yes,
Or
exactly.
your ears burning.
That's why she joined us. Her ears were burning. Well, thank you so much, Miss Andra. We appreciate you being here. And everybody in the chat, thank you guys for being here and for your questions and all of that. We really appreciate it. And Heather, we're going to be back on Tuesday at 3:00 Eastern. And what are we doing?
I've
forgotten.
No, it's such a hard band to raise reality. Let's see what kind of reality it was.
It doesn't matter. Just join us on
Yes,
Tuesday
it's
for our
something
next
different.
show. And Andra, I hope you'll come back with us and visit. We really appreciate you taking the time. I know you don't normally do lives or
No.
YouTube or anything.
No,
So
it's just
I feel blessed that you and honored that you joined
And
us.
it was wonderful. It was wonderful.
I know nothing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I know
right.
nothing.
Kind of like us.
Exactly. Till next time, everybody. Thank you. Go out and shine your light and be sweet to yourself.
And remember to surf. and
Surf
take care of
those
yourself.
energies, not too high, not too low. Love you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
I think